The vast emptiness of space stretched out before the alien patrol ship. Its crew, a mix of different species from the Galactic Confederation, lazily monitored their screens. It was another boring day in a sector they considered unimportant. Suddenly, one of the junior officers perked up. "Captain, I'm picking up something strange on long-range scanners." The captain, a tall blue-skinned alien with 4 arms, sauntered over. "What is it?" "Another piece of space junk." "I'm not sure, sir. It's big, really big." As they approached the mysterious object, its true nature became clear. It was a massive ship, easily 10 times the size of their patrol vessel. Its hull was pitted and scarred, bearing the marks of ancient battles. "By the stars," the captain whispered. It's a human warship." The crew fell silent. They had all heard stories about the humans, a species that had once been a major power in the galaxy. But that was long ago, before the Galactic Confederation had pushed them back to their home system. As they circled the derelict vessel, they could make out faded lettering on its hull. UESTHUNDRCHIT. Below it, someone had crudely painted the word Relics. The captain let out a burst of laughter. "Look at this ancient piece of junk." And they called it Thunderchild. More like Rust Bucket. The crew joined in the laughter, their earlier tension forgotten. They had been raised on stories of human ferocity, but seeing this decrepit ship made those tales seem like nothing more than children's fantasies. "Send a message to command," the captain ordered, still chuckling. "Tell them we found a human relic. It might make a nice museum piece." As the crew busied themselves with their tasks, none of them noticed the faint flicker of lights deep within the old warship. Days passed, and news of the discovery spread through the Confederation. Scientists and military officials debated what to do with the human vessel. Some wanted to study it, others to destroy it as a potential threat. In the end, curiosity won out. A team of researchers was dispatched to examine the relic. As the research vessel approached, its crew couldn't help but feel a mix of excitement and apprehension. Dr. Zax, the lead scientist, pressed his face against the view screen, his tentacles quivering with anticipation. "It's magnificent," he breathed. "Look at the size of it. The humans may have been primitive, but they certainly knew how to build big." His assistant, a young alien named Vix, nodded in agreement. "But doctor, is it safe? What if there are traps?" Dr. Zax waved a tentacle dismissively. "Nonsense. This ship has been drifting for centuries. Any systems it once had are long dead." As they prepared to dock with the relic, none of them noticed the subtle changes happening within the old warship. Deep in its core, ancient machinery stirred, awakened by the proximity of the alien vessel. The research team entered through an airlock, their environmental suits protecting them from the stale air inside. As they moved deeper into the ship, their helmet lights illuminated corridors that hadn't seen life in generations. "Amazing," Dr. Zax muttered, running a scanner over the walls. "The technology here is primitive, but there's an elegance to its design. These humans were cleverer than we gave them credit for." As they explored, they found themselves in what appeared to be the ship's bridge. Dust-covered consoles lined the walls, and a large chair sat in the center, presumably for the captain. Vix approached one of the consoles, her curiosity overcoming her caution. "I wonder if any of these still work." Before Dr. Zax could stop her, she pressed a button. To everyone's shock, the console lit up with a soft blue glow. Alarms began to blare throughout the ship. The floor beneath them vibrated as long-dormant systems roared to life. "What have you done?" Dr. Zax screamed, his tentacles flailing in panic. But Vix couldn't answer. She stood transfixed as information scrolled across the screen before her. "Doctor," she whispered, I think we've woken it up." As the relic hummed with newfound energy, a message flashed across every screen. UESTHUNDRCHILD. Combat systems on Elaine. In that moment, As fear gripped the alien researchers, the laughter of days past seemed very far away indeed. The old enemy wasn't as dead as they had thought, and the galaxy was about to be reminded of why humans had once been feared. The alarms blaring through the ancient human warship, Thunderchild, echoed in the ears of the alien research team. Dr. Zax's tentacles trembled as he watched systems flicker to life around him, illuminating the bridge with an eerie blue glow. "We need to get out of here now," he shouted, his voice barely audible over the cacophony of alarms and rumbling machinery. Vix, still transfixed by the console she had inadvertently activated, shook her head. "But doctor, look at this. It's trying to communicate." Indeed, amidst the scrolling data and flashing warning signs, a message repeated. "Crew status critical. Initiating emergency protocols. Seeking authorized personnel." Dr. Zax hesitated, his scientific curiosity warring with his sense of self-preservation. "What does it mean by authorized personnel?" Before anyone could answer, a new alarm sounded. This one was different, lower, more urgent. The main view screen at the front of the bridge flickered to life, showing an external view of space. What they saw made their blood run cold. A massive alien fleet was emerging from hyperspace, their ships bristling with weapons. It was the Zarketh, a warmongering race known for their brutality and expansionist tendencies. "By the stars," whispered one of the junior researchers. "What are they doing here?" Dr. Zax's eyes widened in realization. They must have detected the ship powering up. They're here to claim it for themselves. The situation was rapidly spiraling out of control. The research team was trapped on an awakening warship of unknown capabilities, with a hostile fleet closing in. Suddenly, a new voice filled the bridge. Artificial, yet somehow warm and distinctly human. "Greetings. I am ARIA, Artificial Responsive Intelligence Assistant of the UES Thunderchild. I detect non-human life forms aboard. Please state your intentions." The alien researchers looked at each other in shock. An AI. The humans had developed true artificial intelligence. Dr. Zax stepped forward, his scientific training kicking in despite the dire circumstances. "Greetings, ARIA. We are researchers from the Galactic Confederation. We mean no harm. But we're in danger. There's a hostile fleet approaching." There was a pause, then ARIA responded. "Understood. Analyzing threat. Zarketh war fleet detected. Initiating defense protocols." The ship shuddered as ancient weapon systems came online. On the view screen, they could see gun turrets emerging from hidden compartments along the hull. "Wait," Vix cried out. "We can't fight them. We're not warriors. We're scientists." Aria's voice remained calm. "I understand your concern. However, the Thunderchild was built to protect. It is my duty to safeguard all life aboard, regardless of species. Prepare for combat." The research team watched in awe as the old warship began to move, its engines roaring to life after centuries of silence. The approaching Zarketh fleet seemed to hesitate, clearly not expecting their prey to be capable of movement. "Aria," Dr. Zax said, his voice shaking slightly. "What are our chances against that fleet?" "Calculating. Based on observed Zarketh technology and known capabilities of the Thunderchild, our odds of survival are approximately 37.8%. The alien researchers exchanged grim looks. Those weren't great odds, but they were better than nothing. "What can we do to help?" Vix asked, her earlier fear replaced by determination. Aria's response was immediate. "Your knowledge of current galactic technology could be invaluable. Please man the sensor stations and provide tactical analysis." As the aliens scrambled to their assigned positions, guided by Aria's instructions, the first salvos from the Zarketh fleet lit up space. The Thunderchild shuddered as its ancient shields absorbed the impact. Shield holding at 92%. Aria reported. Returning fire. The human warship's guns blazed to life, sending streaks of energy towards the enemy fleet. To everyone's surprise, several Zarketh ships erupted into fireballs. How? Dr. Zax gasped. Human weapons technology was significantly advanced for its time, Araya explained. It seems the Zarketh were not prepared for its effectiveness. As the battle raged on, the research team found themselves working alongside the AI, coordinating defense and attack strategies. The thunderchild danced through space, its maneuvers belying its size and age. But the Zarketh fleet was vast, and for every ship they destroyed, two more seemed to take its place. Alarms blared as damage reports flooded in. Shields at 30% and falling, Araya reported. Main reactor strained. We cannot sustain this battle indefinitely. Just as hope began to fade, a new alert sounded. The view screen shifted, showing a distant sector of space. What's that? Vix asked, squinting at the screen. Araya's voice held a note of what could almost be described as relief. Reinforcements have arrived. It seems the Thunderchild's distress call was heard by humans. As the alien researchers watched in disbelief, a fleet of sleek, modern ships dropped out of hyperspace. On their hulls, clear as day, was the emblem of the long-thought defeated human empire. The tide of battle was about to turn, and the galaxy would never be the same again. The arrival of the human fleet sent shockwaves through the Zarketh forces, their neat formations scattered as they struggled to regroup against this new threat. On the bridge of the Thunderchild, Dr. Zax and his team watched in awe as the sleek human ships engaged the enemy with frightening efficiency. "This is impossible," muttered one of the junior researchers. The humans were supposed to be contained in their home system. Araya's calm voice filled the bridge. It appears that information was incorrect. Humans have always been resourceful. As the battle raged outside, a new signal pinged on the communications array. Araya announced, "Incoming transmission from the human fleet." A holographic screen flickered to life, revealing the face of a human woman. Her stern features were offset by eyes that sparkled with intelligence and determination. "This is Admiral Chen of the Human Expeditionary Force. Thunderchild, do you read?" Dr. Zax stepped forward, his tentacles twitching nervously. "This is Dr. Zax of the Galactic Confederation Research Team. We're not the original crew." Admiral Chen's eyebrows rose slightly, but she quickly regained her composure. "Understood, Doctor. We picked up the Thunderchild's distress signal and came as fast as we could. Hold tight. We'll handle the Zarketh." The transmission cut off, and the alien researchers watched in amazement as the human fleet executed a series of complex maneuvers. Their ships moved with a grace that belied their deadly purpose, weaving through the Zarketh formations and leaving destruction in their wake. Meanwhile, deep in the heart of Zarketh territory, news of the battle was causing an uproar. In a massive dark chamber adorned with trophies of conquest, the Zarketh High Command gathered in emergency session. Supreme Commander Krovak, a hulking figure with scared leathery skin, roared in fury. "How dare these primitives challenge us? The humans were supposed to be broken, confined to their miserable little world." His advisors cowered before his wrath. One brave soul, General Zixera, dared to speak up. "Supreme Commander, it appears we may have underestimated them." Krovak's eyes narrowed dangerously. "Explain." Zixera swallowed hard. "Our initial reports suggest their technology has advanced significantly. The old warship, this Thunderchild, it destroyed 5 of our cruisers before reinforcements arrived." The chamber fell silent. 5 cruisers, lost to an antique warship. It was unthinkable. Krovak's voice was low and menacing when he finally spoke. "And these reinforcements, what of them?" "They're unlike anything we've encountered before," Zixera admitted. "Their ships are faster, their weapons more powerful. They're cutting through our fleet like it's not even there." The Supreme Commander's fist came down hard on his throne, cracking the armrest. "Impossible. We are the Zarketh. We do not lose." But even as he spoke, more reports flooded in. The human fleet was pushing the Zarketh back, their superior tactics and technology turning the tide of battle. Krovak's eyes blazed with a mixture of fury and fear. "Send everything we have. I want those human ships destroyed. And I want that relic captured. We'll unlock its secrets and crush these upstart primitives once and for all." As the orders went out, the Zarketh war machines sprang into action. Reserves were called up, mothballed ships were hastily reactivated, and every available warrior was pressed into service. The Zarketh Empire had not faced a serious challenge in generations, and they were determined to meet this one with overwhelming force. Back on the Thunderchild, Aria's voice took on a note of concern. "Multiple hyperspace signatures detected. It appears the Zarketh are calling for reinforcements." Dr. Zax and his team exchanged worried glances. They had thought the worst was over, but it seemed the real battle was just beginning. Admiral Chen's face reappeared on the holographic display. "Thunderchild, we're picking up massive enemy reinforcements incoming. We need to change our strategy. That old girl of yours still have any tricks up her sleeve?" Aria responded before the alien researchers could. "The Thunderchild is equipped with several classified weapon systems that have not yet been activated. However, they require significant power and may be unstable after centuries of dormancy." The human admiral's eyes gleamed. "Well, no time like the present to find out if they work. Doctor, I hope you and your team are ready for a wild ride. We're about to remind the galaxy why humanity was feared." As the Zarketh reinforcements began to pour out of hyperspace, the Thunderchild's ancient engines roared to life once more. Deep within the ship, long-dormant systems began to power up, pulsing with an energy that made the very fabric of space shiver. The stage was set for a battle that would reshape the balance of power in the galaxy, and at the center of it all, a relic of humanity's past prepared to unleash its full potential. The void of space lit up with the fire of 1,000 suns as the Zarketh reinforcements clashed with the human fleet. The Thunderchild, once dismissed as a relic, now stood at the heart of the battle, its ancient hull gleaming with newly awakened power. On the bridge, Dr. Zax and his team worked frantically alongside Aria, the ship's eye, to manage the chaos. Screens flashed with damage reports, tactical updates, and weapon statuses. "Aria," Dr. Zax called out, his tentacles flying over a control panel. "What's the status of those classified weapon systems?" The AI's calm voice contrasted sharply with the frenzy around them. "Initializing now, Doctor. Quantum displacement array at 60% charge. Chronometric torpedo tubes coming online. Probability distortion field generator warming up." Vix, the young alien researcher who had first awakened the ship, looked up from her station with wide eyes. Those don't sound like normal weapons." "That's because they're not." Admiral Chen's voice came through the comm system. "The Thunderchild was an experimental ship, packed with technology that was theoretical even by our standards. Looks like we're about to see if the theories hold up." Outside, the battle raged with increasing intensity. The human ships, though outnumbered, fought with a coordination and skill that kept the Zarketh at bay. But the sheer number of enemy reinforcements was beginning to tell. Suddenly, a massive Zarketh dreadnought dropped out of hyperspace, its size dwarfing even the Thunderchild. Its arrival seemed to energize the Zarketh forces, who pressed their attack with renewed vigor. "New contact," one of the alien researchers shouted. It's huge." Admiral Chen's face appeared on the holographic display, her expression grim. "That's the Zarketh flagship, the World Breaker. If they've brought that into play, they're not messing around anymore." As if to emphasize her point, the World Breaker opened fire. Beams of searing energy lanced out, cutting through several human ships like they were made of paper. "We can't withstand that kind of firepower for long," Chen said, her voice tight. "Thunderchild, please tell me those special weapons of yours are ready." Aria's response was immediate. "Quantum displacement array fully charged, awaiting deployment authorization." Dr. Zax looked at his team, then at the image of Admiral Chen. Despite being different species, in that moment they were united in their determination. He nodded firmly. "Do it." "Quantum displacement array activated," Araya announced. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, space itself seemed to ripple around the thunderchild. A wave of distortion spread out from the ship, washing over friend and foe alike. As the wave passed, chaos erupted in the Zarketh fleet. Ships suddenly found themselves hundreds of kilometers from their previous positions. Carefully coordinated formations were shattered in an instant. "By the stars," Vix whispered, watching the sensor readings in awe. It moved them. It literally displaced them through space. Admiral Chen's laughter rang out over the comm. "Now that's what I call evening the odds. All ships press the attack while they're disorganized." The human fleet surged forward, taking full advantage of the Zarketh's confusion. Ships that had been on the verge of overwhelming the humans now found themselves isolated and vulnerable. On the bridge of the Worldbreaker, Supreme Commander Krovak raged at his subordinates. "What happened? How did they do this?" "Unknown, Supreme Commander," a terrified officer replied. "Our ships report spontaneous spatial displacement. We've lost all formation coherence." Krovak's eyes narrowed as he focused on the image of the Thunderchild on his view screen. "That ship, that relic, it did this somehow." His voice dropped to a dangerous growl. "Bring all weapons to bear on the human relic. I want it destroyed." The Worldbreaker's massive form began to turn, its countless weapon ports glowing with building energy. But the human fleet, now with the upper hand, wasn't about to let them take the shot. "Thunderchild, Worldbreaker is lining up to fire on you," Admiral Chen warned. "Whatever other tricks you've got up your sleeve, now would be a good time to use them." Araya's voice remained steady. "Chronometric torpedo tubes are armed and ready. Probability distortion field is online." Dr. Zax looked at the massive form of the Worldbreaker on the view screen, then at his fellow researchers. Despite the danger, he felt a thrill of excitement. They were witnessing, even participating in, the deployment of technologies they had never dreamed possible. "Well then," he said, a grim smile on his face, "let's show them what else this relic can do." As the Worldbreaker's weapons reached full charge, the Thunderchild prepared to unleash another impossible weapon. The battle for galactic supremacy was about to enter a new phase, and the old human warship was at the very center of it all. The massive form of the Zarketh flagship, Worldbreaker, loomed ever larger on the Thunderchild's view screen. Its weapon ports glowed with a malevolent light, ready to unleash destruction upon the human relic. "Chronometric torpedoes armed and ready," Araya announced, her artificial voice steady amidst the tension on the bridge. "Probability distortion field at full power." Dr. Zax looked at Admiral Chen's image on the holographic display. "What exactly do these weapons do?" The Admiral's lips quirked in a half-smile. "Simply put, Doctor, they mess with time and probability. You're about to see physics take a vacation." Before Dr. Zax could ask for clarification, Araya spoke again. "Worldbreaker firing sequence detected. Initiating countermeasures." The space around the Thunderchild seemed to ripple and twist. The probability distortion field sprang to life, bending reality itself around the ancient warship. Beams of energy erupted from the Worldbreaker, lancing towards the Thunderchild with deadly precision. But as they entered the distortion field, something impossible happened. The beams curved, twisted, and in some cases, simply winked out of existence. "Incredible," Vix breathed, her eyes wide as she watched the sensor readings. "The field isn't just deflecting the attacks, it's changing the probability of them hitting us." Admiral Chen nodded approvingly. "That's why we called it the probability distortion field. Now, let's show them our own teeth. Araya, fire chronometric torpedoes." The Thunderchild shuddered as it launched a volley of strange, shimmering projectiles. They moved erratically, seeming to fade in and out of reality as they streaked towards the Worldbreaker. On the Zarketh flagship's bridge, alarms blared. Supreme Commander Krovac roared in frustration. "What are those? Why can't we lock onto them?" His weapons officer responded, panic evident in his voice. "Sir, the torpedoes are. They're phasing in and out of our time stream. We can't predict their trajectory." Krovac's eyes widened in disbelief. Impossible. Evasive maneuvers, now. But it was too late. The chronometric torpedoes struck home, their impacts rippling across the Worldbreaker's hull. Yet, instead of explosions, strange temporal distortions spread from each point of impact. Parts of the massive ship began to age rapidly, metal rusting and crumbling in seconds. Other sections seemed to revert to an earlier state, half-finished components reappearing. In one horrifying moment, a section of the hull simply vanished, as if it had never been built. "By the stars," Dr. Zax murmured, watching the devastation unfold. "Those torpedoes, they're weaponized time itself." Admiral Chen's voice was grim. "That's right, Doctor. The chronometric torpedoes disrupt the target's temporal consistency. Past, present, and future all collide at the point of impact." The Worldbreaker, pride of the Zarketh fleet, was in chaos. Entire sections had become temporal quagmires, with crew members finding themselves out of sync with their surroundings. Supreme Commander Krovac stared at the viewscreen in horror as his mighty flagship crumbled around him. This is impossible. We are the Zarketh. We cannot be defeated by time itself." But the reality of their situation was undeniable. The once mighty Worldbreaker was now a temporal patchwork, parts of it ancient and decaying, others not yet built, and some simply gone. Back on the Thunderchild, the alien research team watched in awe as the tide of battle shifted dramatically. The human fleet, emboldened by the Worldbreaker's fate, pressed their attack with renewed vigor. Vix turned to Dr. Zax, her voice filled with wonder. "Doctor, do you realize what this means? The humans, they've mastered technology that breaks the very laws of physics as we understand them." Dr. Zax nodded slowly, his scientific mind racing to comprehend what he'd witnessed. "Indeed, it seems we've greatly underestimated them. The galaxy as we know it is about to change." Admiral Chen's voice cut through their contemplation. "Don't celebrate just yet, folks. The Zarketh are down, but not out. And we've just shown our hand. You can bet they'll be calling in everything they've got now." As if on cue, Araya announced, "Multiple hyperspace signatures detected. A second wave of Zarketh reinforcements incoming." The Admiral's face hardened. "All right, people. Round one goes to us, but this fight is far from over. Thunderchild, what's your status?" Araya responded promptly. "All systems functional, Admiral. However, the quantum displacement array and chronometric torpedo launchers require time to recharge after such heavy usage." "Understood." Chen nodded. "Looks like we'll have to face this next wave the old-fashioned way. All ships, form up on the Thunderchild. Let's show these Zarketh why humanity was never to be underestimated." As the human fleet regrouped, the Thunderchild at its center, the first ships of the Zarketh's second wave began to emerge from hyperspace. The battle for the galaxy was entering its next phase, and the once laughable Relic was now the focal point of a conflict that would reshape the balance of power for generations to come. The void of space erupted into a kaleidoscope of weapons fire as the second wave of Zarketh reinforcements engaged the human fleet. The Thunderchild, once dismissed as an outdated relic, now stood as the centerpiece of humanity's defense, its hull bearing the scars of battle like badges of honor. On the bridge, Dr. Zax and his team worked feverishly alongside ARIA to keep the ancient warship in the fight. Sweat beaded on the alien scientist's skin as he called out, "ARIA, what's the status of our special weapons?" The AI's voice remained calm amidst the chaos. "Quantum displacement array at 40% charge. Chronometric torpedo tubes at 35% readiness. Probability distortion field operating at 60% efficiency." Admiral Chen's face appeared on the holographic display, her expression grim but determined. "Looks like we'll have to rely on conventional weapons for now. All ships, concentrate fire on the lead Zarketh cruisers. We need to break their formation." The human fleet responded with a coordinated barrage that lit up space. Lasers, plasma bolts, and kinetic rounds streaked towards the oncoming Zarketh ships. But the alien armada was vast, and for every ship destroyed, two more seemed to take its place. Vix, monitoring the sensor readings, called out in alarm, "Doctor, the Zarketh ships are adapting. They're modifying their shields to better withstand our weapons." Dr. Zax's tentacles twitched nervously as he processed this information. "It seems they learn quickly." "Araya, can we adjust our attack patterns to compensate?" "Affirmative," the AI responded. "Recalibrating weapon frequencies now. However, this will only be a temporary solution. The Zarketh's adaptive capabilities are formidable." As the battle raged on, the human fleet found itself slowly being pushed back. The sheer number of Zarketh ships was overwhelming, and even the advanced technology of the thunderchild couldn't turn the tide alone. Admiral Chen's voice crackled over the comm, tinged with frustration. "We can't keep this up forever. Thunderchild, we need those special weapons of yours back online." Araya's response was immediate. "Understood, Admiral. Diverting all non-essential power to weapon recharge. Warning: this will leave us vulnerable to concentrated attacks." The risk was great, but the alternative was defeat. Dr. Zax looked at his team, seeing the same mix of fear and determination in their eyes that he felt. "Do it, Araya. We'll have to trust in the fleet to protect us." As the Thunderchild's conventional defenses powered down, the human ships closed ranks around it, forming a protective barrier. The Zarketh, sensing weakness, pressed their attack with renewed vigor. Explosions blossomed across space as ships on both sides fell to enemy fire. The bridge of the Thunderchild shook violently as a Zarketh cruiser managed to land a direct hit. "Hull breach on Deck 7. Vix shouted over the blaring alarms. "Emergency force fields are holding, but barely." Dr. Zax clung to his console, his heart's racing. This was far beyond anything he had ever experienced as a researcher. Yet despite the danger, he felt a thrill of excitement. They were witnessing history in the making, a battle that would reshape the galaxy. "Quantum displacement array at 85% charge," Araya announced. "Chronometric torpedo tubes at 80% readiness." Admiral Chen's voice cut through the chaos. "Hold on, people. We just need to buy a little more time." But time was running out. The Zarketh fleet was closing in, their ships forming a deadly net around the beleaguered human forces. It seemed that at any moment, they would overwhelm the defenders and claim the Thunderchild for themselves. Just as all hope seemed lost, Araya's voice rang out with a note of triumph. "All special weapons systems back online, ready to deploy on your command." A cheer went up from the human ships, and even Dr. Zax and his alien team felt a surge of hope. Admiral Chen's face appeared on the screen, a fierce grin on her face. "All right, Thunderchild. Time to remind these Zarketh why they should have left that relic alone. Fire at will." The Thunderchild's hull hummed with power as its impossible weapons prepared to fire once more. The quantum displacement array spooled up, ready to scatter the enemy fleet across space. Chronometric torpedoes were loaded, each one a temporal bomb waiting to wreak havoc on the Zarketh ships. As the weapons fired, the very fabric of space-time seemed to warp and twist around the ancient human warship. The Zarketh, who had been so confident in their superiority, suddenly found themselves facing technology that defied their understanding of physics itself. In that moment, as reality itself bent to humanity's will, the galaxy held its breath. The battle was far from over, but one thing was clear: the era of underestimating humanity had come to an explosive end. The vacuum of space lit up with impossible energies as the Thunderchild unleashed its full might. Quantum displacements rippled across the battlefield, scattering Zarketh ships like leaves in a storm. Chronometric torpedoes streaked through the void, their impacts causing entire enemy vessels to age, de-age, or simply blink out of existence. On the bridge of the Thunderchild, Dr. Zax and his team watched in awe as the tide of battle shifted dramatically. The alien scientist's tentacles danced over the controls, helping ARIA coordinate the attack. "It's working," he exclaimed. "The Zarketh fleet is in disarray." Admiral Chen's voice crackled over the comms, filled with fierce pride. All ships pressed the advantage. Double it up. The human fleet surged forward, their weapons finding gaps in the now scattered Zarketh formation. Ships that had seemed unstoppable mere moments ago now fell one after another to the combined might of human ingenuity and the Thunderchild's impossible technology. In the heart of the Zarketh fleet, Supreme Commander Krovak watched in disbelief as his forces crumbled. "This cannot be," he roared, his massive fists slamming against his command chair. "We are the Zarketh. We do not lose." But the evidence before him was undeniable. The humans, long thought contained and weak, were routing his fleet with ease, and at the center of it all was that cursed Relic, the ship they had once laughed at. As the battle raged on, news of the conflict spread across the galaxy like wildfire. Species that had long lived under the shadow of Zarketh oppression watched in hope and fear as the balance of power shifted before their eyes. Back on the Thunderchild, Vix called out excitedly, "Doctor, we're receiving transmissions from all over the sector. Other races, they're rising up against the Zarketh." Dr. Zax's eyes widened. "It seems our little skirmish has ignited a spark of rebellion across the galaxy." Admiral Chen's hologram nodded gravely. "That was always the plan, Doctor. The Zarketh's rule was built on fear and the belief that they were unbeatable. We just had to prove them wrong." As the last of the Zarketh ships fell or fled, a strange calm settled over the battlefield. The Thunderchild, scared but unbroken, stood as a symbol of humanity's triumphant return to the galactic stage. Aria's voice broke the silence. Incoming transmission from the Galactic Confederation Council. A new hologram flickered to life, showing a diverse group of alien leaders. Their spokesperson, a tall, willowy being with iridescent skin, addressed the bridge. "Thunderchild, and representatives of humanity, the Galactic Confederation extends its gratitude and its apologies." Admiral Chen raised an eyebrow. "Apologies." The spokesperson nodded solemnly. "For too long, we allowed fear to guide our actions. We believed the Zarketh lies about humanity's containment, and in doing so, we nearly lost everything to their tyranny. Today, you have not only saved us, but shown us the error of our ways." Dr. Zax stepped forward, his scientific curiosity overcoming his awe. "But how did you manage all this? The technology we've seen, it defies everything we thought we knew about physics." Admiral Chen smiled. "That, Doctor, is a long story, one that began centuries ago, when we realized that to survive in this galaxy, we needed to think beyond its rules." She turned to address the Confederation Council. "Humanity is ready to rejoin the galactic community. But this time, as equals, not as a race to be feared or contained." The Council spokesperson nodded. "We would welcome nothing less. The age of Zarketh oppression is over. A new era of cooperation and mutual understanding can begin." As the implications of these words sank in, a cheer went up from both the human fleet and the watching alien races across the galaxy. The Thunderchild, once laughed at as a useless relic, had become the catalyst for a new age of galactic peace and cooperation. Dr. Zax looked around the bridge, at the human crew working seamlessly alongside his alien research team. He realized that this was just the beginning. The technologies they had witnessed, the impossible feats they had seen, all of it hinted at a future filled with wonders yet to be discovered. As the Thunderchild began its journey back to Earth, carrying with it the hopes of countless worlds, Dr. Zax couldn't help but feel a sense of excitement. The galaxy had underestimated humanity once. He had a feeling they wouldn't make that mistake again. The old warship, a bridge between past and future, sailed on through the stars. Its mission was complete, but its legacy was just beginning. The laughter had stopped, the battle was won, and humanity had roared back to life on the galactic stage.